Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Martin Cliffe here. It is Thursday the 9th of June, so it's Dragon Boat Festival Day here in Hong Kong. Day off work on a Thursday can't be bad, particularly with work being kind of crazy like it is at the moment. So, I thought, as promised in my video on Saturday, it was Saturday anyway, I have now finished my updates to my pedal board using the little foot switches and stuff. So I thought I would give a quick show and tell. So switching to this camera, you can see my main board, and I've changed a little bit just because I'll bring the camera across. I did have it going at the front row, Shiba drive, Jackrabbit, but there's a issue with the way that the Jackrabbit is designed with the external tap tempo. You can't just use a tap tempo switch, you have to use a dual switch that activates both the foot switch itself and the tap tempo, which is really annoying. So I decided, sack it, I'm just going to use the vintage trem mode on the Mobius, because I only really use the Mobius for Leslie other than trem. And occasionally chorus or vibe, but not very often. So I figured, what the heck, just use the great sounding trem on the Mobius and put the Rufus back on, which is this pedal here that's a little bit glary in the light. So I was able to use this little tap box here, which is the thing I referred to in my video. Maybe I should just like point some scissors at it or something, see if I can get that in shot. Yeah, so this box here is a custom audio Electronics Japan tap box, and what that does is changes the mode of the fuzz. So now it's in red mode, you can see the red LED on. Press it and it switches to green mode, which is the more kind of chilled out, mellow version of it. So it's a momentary switch, doesn't make any noise, it's very easy to catch, and you switch between the two modes, just like that. And when the pedal's off, I can press it and it lights up momentarily with what colour it will next be. So green, red. It's still off, but it means next time I turn it on it'll select what I want it to be. So that's pretty cool. Coming over this side then to the dual boost pedal, I have the same thing. I have another tap box, and if my tripod wasn't in the way, so that's in green mode. Press the switch, it switches to red, and back again, and again it works with the pedal off or on. And the only other thing I've added to this board is this where have you gone? The Strymon tap, it's the tap favourite box, and what that basically does is duplicates the tap tempo foot switch on the timeline, just makes it easier to reach. Because it's quite tall, so it's proud of the knobs of the two overdrive pedals either side, it's just easy for me to tap on that, much easier than trying to get up there and reach past the tuner and everything else. But what I've also done is implemented a subboard, which I know I've done in the past, but that's over here, and that's on a Pedal Train Junior. So the signal comes in, the cable comes in top right into the Proton from 3-leaf audio, which is my nice sort of quacky envelope filter, which if I can reach to turn on, let's bring that closer, then I can actually reach my pedals. So I've got this set up just for a nice little so that's pretty cool. And then it comes down to the MoFaux vibe, which I've had for years and demonstrated many times before. It's just a vibe pedal. It's a good vibe pedal, but it's just a vibe pedal. And then I moved my Koko Boost Reloaded and Shiba Drive Reloaded, which were on my baby board, but I don't need them on there at the moment, so I've moved them across onto this. So Koko Boost I use exclusively in the red mode, or pretty much exclusively, because I've got lots of other boost pedals. So the red mode is a mid boost, and on its own kind of makes it louder and a bit fuller. But what it works really well is just driving overdrive, so that's why it's before my overdrive, whereas my other boost is after it. So if I turn on the Shiba Drive Reloaded, and then kick in the Koko Boost, it just gives it a lot more oomph, a lot more balls, if you will. My Riot is my one sort of distortion sound, and that's set up for kind of heavy rhythms or leads. So on its own, on the bridge humbucker, so that's just a really useful pedal that I've tried to implement on boards, but I don't use it often enough for it to be on my main board. And on the upper level, then basically the signal goes from the Riot then into the other board, so into the Rufus, and then the Shiba Drive, into the other Shiba Drive, into the Koji comp, into the dual boost, and then it goes out into the front end of the amp. So in total there we've got 10, or 11 if you include the Polytune pedals in front of the amp. All wired up with Lava ELC, so all good quality stuff. And then from the effects end of the amp it comes back and into the Smart Gate, which is just set to clean up some noise. Then I've got this MXR or Custom Audio Electronics boost line driver MC401, which I've had again for a long time, and it's just set up for a slight boost, and it's in the loop, so it's whatever happens, it's not driving the amp any harder. So even if the amp was getting pushed into breakup, which the dual boost does, this just makes it louder. So, and it just gives me another option as well. So even if I have a kind of fairly gainy sound, add the dual boost to it to give me a little bit more kick. But that's giving me a bit more compression, because that's going into the front end of the amp, whereas this will literally just make it louder. And again, I've got it set pretty subtly, but just enough to kind of give it a, kind of turn it up to 11. And that also serves as a buffer for the loop, so cable runs. Obviously the amp itself has a buffered loop, but then this is the buffer at the pedalboard end. I use the buffer in the dual boost, the Suhr dual boost at the other end, to buffer the signal going to the amp. Because I'm not running very long cables, but yeah, I just want to make sure everything is as noise proof as possible. And then I've got a carbon copy delay, which is on all the time, but very subtly. So if I turn off the other delay, my timeline, and then all you'll hear it's a very short kind of just a little bit of thickening. Just fattens up the tone, that's all. And then from there we come into the trinity of the Timeline, the Mobius, and the Big Sky. And I've got, as I say, I've got on my number one bank, my Mobius, I've now got the tremolo medium pace vintage trem in setting 1 and the Leslie in setting 2, which are the two things you heard in the intro. So that's basically it. I say it's not a complicated, I mean it's a complicated rig, I think there's a lot of pedals, but it's not a complicated rig as in the way it's wired up. There's no fancy programming or anything like that. So I was a little disappointed with the Jackrabbit not being able to do what I wanted it to do, but I've moved that onto the sort of B board that I'm going to be building gradually. That will have my 3 Keeley modded Boss pedals, my DS1, my SD1 and my BD2 is the Blues driver. I'll have those, it'll have my Suhr ISO boost, it will have the Suhr Jackrabbit, it'll have a flashback, my other Ditto X2 and a tuner, and that will be that board, maybe an EP booster. So yeah, that's something I'm going to build as a kind of second thing. The other thing I've done, which you probably can't see in the shot, so if I bring this camera around, can't really get it, but I'm only using one cab, but yeah, well, for each amp obviously, but I'm still using my attenuator. And the way I've done this is, previously I had 2 cabs. I had a 16 ohm greenback in the top cab, and the bottom cab had the stock G12H30 again 16 ohm in. Because it's an 8 ohm attenuator I've got in the back of each cab. It's the Palmer PDI-06. And what I did was I got some of the new Celestion Neo greenbacks, which are neodymium speakers, so they're lighter weight, a little bit higher power handling as well. I think they're a 50 watt or a 60 watt or something like that, rather than a 25 or a 30. But because they're 8 ohms, then I can use the attenuator with just the one speaker, so that's pretty cool. So that basically means that for general playing I only need to take 2 cabs with this rig rather than 4, so that's always good. And then my other 2 cabs I can use with my other tweaker head for if I'm jamming with someone else, and with this secondary pedal board. Maybe just specifically set it up for the Les Paul, which would then mean that the Ibanez amp becomes a spare or something that I'll just use with my D board, which I'm redesigning at the moment, but that's what I use for church primarily, because it's nice and lightweight. So there we go. I think that's about it for this update. Hope you've found that interesting, helpful, whatever. Say all lava cable, the little patch bays that you may have seen just at the end, joining the two boards together, are Giga Chinkos. And yeah, that's about it. So, till next time, take care, and I'll speak to you soon.